And speaking of Rhea Ripley, she came out on Raw to announce who she's challenging for the Women's Championship at WrestleMania. Now, I had said leading up to the Royal Rumble, Rhea Ripley, of course, was my pick to win. And I said, I feel like based on everything we've seen in 2022, the match you need to do at WrestleMania would be Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. But that was all before Charlotte came back and surprised everybody with a return and won the SmackDown Championship. So when we were doing the predictions, I even laid out, I'm like, if Rhea Ripley were to win, that would really be setting her up for an opportunity to face Charlotte again, because she owes Charlotte one. And even last year, before Charlotte even came back, it was like maybe last summer, I said it in a tweet, or maybe it was on a podcast, because I was thinking about the two of them. And I said, man, looking at how badass Rhea is, this just new demeanor of hers, and this darker look, and this alliance with the Judgment Day, the fact that she's beating the shit out of dudes, showing no fear, she's dominant. It's going to be a different story when the Queen and Rhea Ripley cross paths once again, whenever that day comes. Little did I know it would be at the very next year's WrestleMania. I thought we were a year away from something like that happening. But then Charlotte shows up, they put the belt back on her, and she's a babyface, don't forget. I was like, oh man, they've got a good opportunity here. Charlotte could very well be the one that Rhea challenges, and that's what happened. Rhea comes out on Raw and talks about Charlotte, talks about their last match, WrestleMania 36, the pandemic match and all of that, when it was for the NXT title, and says that she's going to, right that wrong. And that's what I've been excited for, because I feel like WWE has an opportunity to really right this wrong. This reminds me a lot of Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Brock Lesnar comes back, shows up in WWE, just like when Charlotte challenged Rhea Ripley for the NXT title. Rhea Ripley comes in with the title, works a WrestleMania match. You feel like she should be the one to win, right? And instead, Charlotte beats her, wins the NXT title, pisses off a lot of fans, just like when Brock came back, fresh off his UFC run. The very first match he wrestles is against Cena, the guy who always wins, and Cena beats him. Holy shit, man. So when they had that rematch at SummerSlam, I was the one that said, this is revenge time. This is going to remind people of who Brock Lesnar is and to get him this victory back. Little did we know it was going to be a squash. He completely murdered John Cena, which is what I said he was going to do in my predictions leading up to SummerSlam that year. But so many fans were jaded over John Cena. They were convinced, nope, good mic work. You're a moron. John Cena's going to go in there and beat Brock Lesnar like he always does. And I'm like, what about this situation makes you think that? Like, look at what's happening. I understand that you got this thing in your head about Cena and he always wins, but man, they are basically telling you what's going to happen here. John Cena is going to lose. The only reason John Cena is the champion to begin with is because Daniel Bryan got injured and had to drop the titles. Had that not happened, it would have been Brock and Bryan. So here with WrestleMania, yes, I know WWE is very annoying with their booking of Charlotte, but just like John Cena, Charlotte could easily afford not only a loss, but a squash loss. And I would love to see that. I would love to see Rhea Ripley face Charlotte and tell the story of it's been 3 years since their last WrestleMania match, and Rhea is a completely different person. Is Charlotte a different person? No. Charlotte is literally the exact same wrestler that she was 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Heel or face, Charlotte is the same. Her intensity has remained the same. Her ability has remained the same. Her strategy has remained the same. We've seen very little fluctuations in Charlotte's demeanor or intensity or strength or anything like that. That is not the same thing with Rhea Ripley. She is much more formidable now, and she looks like somebody who you do not want to trifle with. And if I am Triple H, I am looking at this as not as an insult to Charlotte whatsoever, but I am using Charlotte's star power, her star status, just like they used Brock's star power to smash over Goldberg at Survivor Series that year. Remember? What happened to Brock after that? Still went on to win 4 more championships. It can be done with the right person, and Charlotte is that right person. Charlotte literally, I believe, could go out there and lose in 3 seconds to Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke could hit her with one move, knock her completely out, and pin her and win the championship. And I still think Charlotte's career would be just as influential, just as important, just as Hall of Fame worthy, and she could still easily go on to win many other championships down the road. She's gained that much value. She has that much equity in her career and her resume and her legacy that no matter what happens to Charlotte at this point, nothing is ever going to be considered a burial with her. Nothing is ever going to be unfair. And that's why I think Rhea Ripley going into this match against Charlotte at WrestleMania, she needs to beat her and beat her badly. Charlotte can get a move in. It's fine. Maybe Charlotte can even get Rhea Ripley down and lock her in the figure eight. I think Rhea Ripley needs to power out of it and escape it or counter it or something. And I think any sort of glimmer of offense Charlotte has, Rhea has an answer for every time. And it's Rhea dominant over Charlotte. Charlotte tries to fight back, gets Rhea on the ropes a couple of times, but Rhea ultimately is able to answer and put Charlotte down and do that pin that she does. You know that pin that Rhea Ripley does, that riptide, folding the legs back, the Undertaker tongue, the whole deal, the whole 9 yards is what we need to see with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. If they do that, I think that would help accomplish a lot. Basically, 2 birds with 1 stone, I guess is what I was trying to say. Because number one, it would really establish Rhea as a major, major, major player now. You get over like that, you beat that person on that stage in that way, you're a made woman. You know, and at the same time, it might help relax some of the fans' opinions of Charlotte. Now, that really didn't happen with Cena, because even though Cena got his ass kicked, you know, Cena had created so much hate with that special portion of the audience that it wasn't just going to cool off overnight. And, you know, by the very next year going into WrestleMania, people were pissed that he was winning again. So I think he beat Rusev, remember the tank and the whole deal at WrestleMania. So I think with Charlotte, it could at least maybe help ease some of the fans' dislike for her, knowing that Triple H is now in control and some of these typical Charlotte booking philosophies that WWE has might be out the window. Because if you notice, when Charlotte came back and won the title from Ronda a couple of weeks back, fans were happy that Ronda was potentially gone because everybody hated Ronda, but you still saw a lot of people complaining and claiming and assuming, because critical thought is hard, assuming that this means that Vince McMahon is back in control. Charlotte came back and won the title. It must mean 100% that Vince is back, because why else would that happen? The attention spans of fucking gerbils, man. Maybe you just have to look a little further ahead. Maybe this has been Triple H's plan the whole time. Charlotte's coming back. I'm going to bring her back as a babyface, put the belt on her, and send her to WrestleMania to get beat by Rhea Ripley. That might have been his whole thought process the whole time. So the fans usually just see what's right in front of them, and they don't think big picture. So when Charlotte wins the title, it's the sky is falling, Vince McMahon is back, WWE's right back to their old ways. Maybe not. Maybe there was a method to this madness that's going to wind up and leading to us being very happy wrestling fans at WrestleMania. Same thing happened in 2014. I'm going to always make this comparison. Remember when Bryan had to relinquish the titles because he got hurt, and then it was the Money in the Bank where they were on the line, right? And everybody was like, Roman Reigns should win or Bray Wyatt should win. When John Cena won, everybody freaked out. Cena wins again. This is bullshit. I'm boycotting WWE. And I'm sitting here like, can you guys stop for a second and just think about what our WrestleMania or what our SummerSlam main event is now? We're getting Brock and Cena again, and it's going to be a lot different. They put those belts on John Cena for him to pass those to Brock Lesnar. That's what they're doing, but the fans couldn't see it because they were blinded by anger, and they were blinded by the sheer hate of one wrestler winning a match, and they couldn't think beyond that. So I think a lot of the same things happened with Charlotte. A lot of people have been pissed, right back to Charlotte again. I'm like, well, just be patient, because I think at WrestleMania, you might be singing a different tune. So I think 100% where we sit right now, Rhea will beat Charlotte at WrestleMania and become women's champion.